Hey guys, what is going on? It is Zando, and we're just doing a little test. But um, basically, we got Grand Arena. No video today for me. I was on the Gambit Podcast this past Friday, and so I have the footage. Um, and you won't hear any sounds because it was just our conversation. So, but the first match we got here is Ray. And so I use Vader. And I like this counter. I bring in EP just for the extra speed on Vader, but I didn't actually need it this one. And I know I've done this counter before, and I know everyone's pretty much seen this counter, so I won't talk too much about it. But yeah, the basic gist is, you just want to, especially with no taunting tank here, you just want to kind of always target the dots on to Ray. So right here, this is I switch with Thrawn and Treya. And that's only because I'm actually afforded that luxury, I guess. It's not necessary, but I do it. Because she's fractured, we don't have to worry about her, getting her ult right now. And then once we go to Merciless, we'll get one more Force Crush. That should land anywhere between usually like 12 to 14 and or 12 to 15 debuffs on her. And so we'll be able to take her out. So yeah, she's got 15 here. 600k is pretty high up there. And not many arrays are going to be able to survive that. The rest of this is just really coming down to just playing this out. Xeris is probably about to take like her turns and lead to her demise. With her Zeta, she basically gains like a ton of turn meter. You do actually have to be careful that she doesn't go. So she doesn't get that like mass amount of turns during Ray's ult, because it can become a timeout situation. But yeah, other than that, now I'm just like trying to focus on recovery. So the other thing, guys, is that I want to do is, because some of these battles aren't going to be like super crazy. He didn't send me like a good defense or like a crazy defense. So we'll talk about some of the stuff that's going to happen and get my thoughts, because I've had quite a few people ask as well. But we'll finish this matchup. She's got 25 debuffs on her, 26 now. And yeah, I'm just trying to almost delay, just allow the banner recovery to happen. And unfortunately, Palps, he ruined it for us, but other than that, we got it. The next one that I try is this First Order, and this was, for those of you guys that don't know, the Gambit is run by Xerath Prevails in solo base. And this was his suggestion. I'd never done this before, but I kind of wanted to see what it looked like. And I'll admit, like, I probably misplayed it multiple times, but he made a good point about this team bringing in JTR. It's rough because no bonus turn meter to be gained whenever Hux has got his dominance. And he said that he's been placing it on defense with like tremendous results, because people aren't used to that component of this team. So they just go in thinking like, oh, my JTR, and that's pretty much what I was going to do. And so he just said, just be careful. And I was like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. So basically this matchup is very easy up until I'd say this point. And then it's just kind of tricky to figure out when to get that big hit. You see I just go in with Spy there. I'm not saying that's necessarily the wrong move, but maybe we could have stacked more debuffs on him. If you're facing a well-modded crew, it might take 2 or 3 of those hits. I could see that. But yeah, it's just, at this point, it's just, let's keep them ability blocked, and let's keep debuffs on them, so that way whenever Spy does get his big hit, he's ready to, like, I'm going to use this Sunfact special here, just to add more debuffs. And here it goes. So we should be able to one-shot him. But yeah, interesting counter. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it if you're trying to look for an efficient, banner count. Albeit, I think the one that I finished with is probably a little bit on the low side. I don't think that it's going to be like a 60 banner win. But at the same time, a win's better than a loss. So it was interesting to see this kind of play out. It was definitely a longer fight, though. And I think this is where we line them up. Yep. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we got 55 there. All right, the next fight that we do. So this was, I took in General Skywalker against Grievous, and this is with the BB-8. So the BB-8 obviously loads in a ton of speed, essentially, to this team. And normally, if I do run 5-0 first against Grievous, I normally try to keep either one of either Echo or Arc out of the fight, just to try to make up on some banners. Every once in a while, I will just take in Rex and 5s, just because I know I'm going to win and the modding wasn't right on Grievous or B1 or something. But this was pretty solid modding. I still think, and I wanted to play a little bit cautious, I still think that we could have probably taken in, either not Arc or not Echo, because you'll see the banners at the end. It's not great, but I think if you're not sure, go for the full team. But yeah, you can see I've got 2 guys now with no health, and so this is why I typically only bring 4 people into this fight, because that would have been another 2 points there, or 1 point, I guess, which would have helped. It helps, like, when you can kind of make that call. And so since we didn't have an SLKR on defense, we decided to use the Jedi here. And this is way overkill. Like, I could have probably did this with Old Ben, didn't really add too much. But yeah, like, it's a fun, guys, if you guys are still under the mindset that Jedi Knight Luke is not good, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, he's so freaking good. You just have to know how to use him, and you got to know the mechanics on him. He can beat any character in this game, like, without a doubt. And if that's not good to you, I don't know what good is. I still, the reason why I'm saying this is because I still hear so many people complaining about what he does and what he can't do, and what he's not as well, because I think the Rebel tag thing upset quite a few people. But all that said, like, he is amazing. And these are some of the more uninteresting fights, so we'll talk about some other stuff. So one of the things that a lot of people have been questioning me about is mods. Mods with the increased ability, basically, and kind of like what my thought process is on it. So I'll talk a little bit about it. I'm actually hugely for this. I didn't think I would be at first. When people always talked about a mod increase, I really hesitated because I always thought in my eye that when the mod increase came, we were going to be faced with mods that had like, if you were one of those guys that got lucky and had a like plus 27 speed mod, eventually that would become like a plus 35, right? I thought that that was going to be the case. I was really pleasantly surprised to hear that you're capped at 5, which is excellent. I mean, I still have 21 speed mods that I reached my 5 upgrade cap, but I only got upgraded 4 times on speed. So giving me an extra 5 turns to make that into a 25, 26, 27 even on the max is going to be huge. Now, what I will say is it's going to be painful for the first 6 months, just like everything that CG has ever done, because especially if you consider yourself the free-to-play. I know they said that they're going to put it into the galactic challenges, but basically I'm going in with the premise that it is going to be the same salvage amounts per level. So I think like to get it from 6E to 6D will take 10, and then it's like what 10 and then 5 or 15 and 5 or something like that. So I'm assuming kind of that. That may or may not be wrong though. But I think in the long run, and so what they'll do is they'll put out packs. So for the first 6 months, I think this is going to be kind of painful because you're going to want to upgrade those mods. But I think overall, in the long run, this is excellent because there's so many people out there that I know that's like they've got a ton of plus 18, plus 19 speed mods that again only hit 3 or 4 times. And just that extra upgrade, if they can chance it and hit that 5th one, then it's even better. Or they might have, like for instance, I have a gas mod that I've got like 6% secondary offense on, but I have like it's like plus 6 speed, and I did 6E it just because it was such a good offense mod, and quite frankly, gas he does need speed, but he doesn't. So I took that in, but now I've got, so I hit 5 on offense. So now I've got I've only got 3 stats that it can improve, and speed is one of those stats. So, and it could hit close, it could hit up to 5 times on that mod, that particular mod. So it's going to be really good. It's going to make it feel like the current content that we have, which I'd say the pinnacle of that is Lightside GOTB. It's going to make that feel, I think, a lot more comfortable. But with all this said, I believe like all the rumors now, like about a raid coming in, this certainly feels like a step towards that. It feels like, okay, they're getting our rosters ready for the next big thing. As much as this is also an answer to their current, problem set that we have, which is again is Lightside GOTB. So I don't know. That's just some of my thoughts on it. Curious to hear your guys', so be sure to leave some comments down there. Like I said, those were some of the more uninteresting battles. Even this one, it's pretty vanilla, I'd say. But yeah, we took Jedi against Night Sisters, and we got the 60 there. We took a way overpowered team, but on the stream in the podcast stream, I was talking about how it's such a detriment now to use CLS on offense, because for me personally at least, because I can't I can't underman it anymore because I have to have Chupio in there and I have to have C3PO in there because it is such a fun interaction. I can't, like, it's probably my favorite team right now. It's such a good team, you guys. Oh, and another thing too, like if you have like a 3 or 4 star Gear 8 Chupio, don't be afraid to use him. He is still quite beefy. Definitely one of the better defensive teams that you can put out there. But yeah, and I know he's going to steal guard, but it is quite amazing what he does to that CLS squad. I was talking about this in my Alliance Discord. I don't think CLS is ever going to leave like the realm of relevant, I guess. Like he is so relevant, has been always relevant. It's just very cool to see, honestly, for our first journey character. Alright, so we got 60 there against Bossk. Okay, so we have these fleets here, and I do want to start putting more fleet stuff in here. I had always kind of considered myself to be, I guess, above average whenever it comes to fleets. Like, I never actually hated them. I just understood that most people hated them. And so, and I get why that is. I'm not here to try to change anybody's minds. But for me, fleet has always been my one true spot for crystal energy or crystal income. And so I always had to be decent at it. And so we took it in against Millennium Falcon. And I'm just figuring out. So the reason why I targeted Ghost was because I knew eventually I was going to target Biggs. And with all the debuffs that happen, I didn't want him to clear them. So you see I land 2 there. And then we get the kill. So yeah, obviously Hans Millennium Falcon, whenever one of his allies, I'm explaining that to the podcast, but when one of his allies gets more than 3 debuffs, he cleanses them. So I wanted to try to keep that up as long as possible. Now this is where I still don't know what necessarily might be the right answer. You either go with Ahsoka for the big hit and hope for the kill, and then it's like it's done, and you don't really have to worry about this fleet anymore. And you're seeing that I'm pausing here, or and I would take the lost banners here, which I lost 1 on Anakin, or I lost 2 on Anakin, 1 on 5s, and 1 on Y-wing here. So it's not ideal banner wise. So I think eventually, if my memory serves me correct, I think I bring in Plo, the old Plo job. And I think that was the right move, but typically you bring him out and then you boost up the turn meter here. And you'll see that I don't. I just put the taunt. And so we basically forced him to attack Y-wing. And the whole reason why we didn't want this to happen, or the whole reason why I didn't boost turn meter, was because I didn't want to risk Phantom coming out and exactly targeting what happened. They're targeting Anakin without his stealth or his extra life, and just knocking Anakin out of there. So overall, we got a 66. I'm sure we could have probably played it a little bit different, but yeah, it's not a bad, and that's not the most ideal Millennium Falcon lineup, but it is a good test of, like, hey, what decision to make when, which is what I'm actually liking with the fleets now that there's 2. You really have to kind of think things through, try to get max banners, because this is, if you guys aren't aware, like, and I'm sure everyone is, but this is a spot where you can really make up some ground. And what I mean by that is like you might only score, 55 in your regular battle, but the fact remains that like if you like in my last stream, because I made it to the championship round, spoiler alert, I guess, but one of my ship's battles I got a 58 on it, and although that might be a decent squad score, that's what I would consider about 7 points below the ideal ship score. So if you kind of take that math over into, the squads, right? That's like instead of scoring your 60, which again I would kind of consider the ideal, maybe like 58 even. That's you're looking at anywhere between like a 53 to a 51, and those aren't good scores overall. So there's a lot of points that could be made up here for both you and your opponent. So just remember that. So I decided to bring in home one here, and you'll see next match when I post it. I think this is going to be something that I probably do more often. Because, yeah, I won't go too much into it. We'll talk about it in that video, but I got a lower score on one of my fights, even though I would almost consider it better than what I did here. But it just ended up being, due to different mechanics in the game. So the one thing that you have to be careful with Raddus, guys, is like all the foresights. It's pretty crazy. Like, so bringing in dispels is definitely highly recommended. And so I decided to bring in Kazian because he wasn't dazed, and you see right there it's over, and we get 65. Again, more ideal score, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this all plays out in the long run of things. And there you can kind of see we got a 21-21. We did end up winning this match. I don't believe they were able to clear my back zone, bottom back zone. So we won, I think, like quite handedly, which gives us 2 times where they couldn't full clear us this season. But overall, guys, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. It's going to be a good one next time, and you'll see why I got so frustrated in the match. It was kind of crazy, but we'll see you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.